Religion has been around for a long time, much longer than any of us can fully realize. If we look back to the earliest origins of man, um, religious beliefs have always been there. Um, as a result of its longevity, a lot of people tend to question whether religion is actually still relevant. And It's a topic that's being debated heavily right now as to whether or not humanity is better off with or without religion. And personally, I like to argue with. And Here are the arguments I'd like to get into. Um, the most common arguments against religion tends to come from scientists, and this is understandable since science is pretty much built on questioning a lot of the things that we thought we knew. Um, However, I think that scientists do overlook a lot of important things. A lot of them think that it's not really possible for a person to truly call themselves a scientist and be religious. Um, I would like to point out, however, that a lot of their forefathers, a lot of the people who founded, a lot of um, the brilliant sub sciences um, were actually religious. Pretty much a lot of founding fathers of history, a lot of founding fathers of philosophy, and countless other great thinkers who, without, we would have no concept of a lot of the scientific ideas that we have today. Um, they um, were religious and very much so. And there are a lot of different names. You know, you have Galileo, of course, he's one of the most obvious, being considered to be the founding father of modern science. And of course, you have Herodotus, the founding father of modern history, who himself uh, was heavily inspired by Greek mythology when he started writing his history books. Of course, this led to his history books being inaccurate, but they were still a starting point as to uh, where we are today with modern history. Countries have been founded on religion, countless countries, to be honest. Um, whether it's America, which was founded on Christian beliefs, to Israel, which was founded on Hebrew beliefs, to India, which was founded on Hindu beliefs, to countless others. Um, it's important to realize that this country that you're sitting in wouldn't exist today if it weren't for people who believed that who believed in a higher power. In particular, George Washington considered to be the greatest patriot this country has ever known. Um, when he declared America a true nation, um, he constantly looked to scripture, uh, to biblical scripture, as guidance his decisions in office. And of course, when America was being founded, every moral decision wasn't okay. But we'll we'll get more into that later on. Uh, it's important to realize that a lot of American values and oh, a lot of values in the Western world in general were heavily influenced by Christianity. And likewise, a lot of Eastern values were heavily influenced by religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. Religion has had an enormous impact on architecture. There are thousands of temples, cathedrals, churches, mosques that have just been tremendous in terms of their beautiful design. Um, um, they've shown us an entirely new way of building, and they've heavily influenced modern day architecture. So you can argue that a lot of buildings that we live in today that are considered luxurious or beautiful, they would not exist if it weren't for the fact that the architects who designed them were heavily influenced by things such as the Notre Dame Cathedral, or even before the pyramids. Um, it's just been an endless influence from religion and from religious groups that uh, that just resulted in how modern day buildings are designed. This is especially apparent in Islamic culture when you see that pretty much most of their major buildings are heavily influenced by how their mosques are designed. Religion's impact on art has been just as enormous. As a matter of fact, you could say even more so. Ever since religion has existed, art about religion has existed, and this is especially evident during the Italian Renaissance, where we see this outbreak of human creativity, all inspired by the belief in a higher power. And there are just so many famous paintings that came from this period of time that would influence, completely shatter the way that we thought that painting was supposed to be done, and that would just influence modern day art in a way that we've never seen before. Um, the probably the most iconic piece of religious artwork would be Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper. And religion didn't just stop with art. It continued on to the type of art that we know as entertainment. And there's a lot of entertainment that draws heavy influence from religion. Most notably, the Star Wars franchise, one of the most massive fictional franchises ever created, was heavily influenced by both Christianity and Taoism. The Force itself is actually a metaphor for the Tao, which is a force within the religion Taoism. And there are, of course, countless parables, countless parallels, countless similarities between the symbolism used in Star Wars and the symbolism used in Christianity. And by no coincidence, the creator of Star Wars identifies himself as a Taoist Christian. And another piece of fiction that's been heavily influenced by religion would be Journey to the West. And while it's not very well known over here in the West, it's pretty much the East Eastern literature's equivalent to Homer's The Odyssey. And its impact can be seen all throughout Eastern fiction with shows like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, with the protagonist being heavily influenced by the protagonist of Journey to the West, Sun Wukong. And Journey to the West itself was heavily influenced by Buddhism to the point that Buddha himself is actually a major character in the work of fiction. I think the most obvious place where you see religion's influence would be in music. And it's safe to say that you could argue that if religious music didn't exist, then most of the music genres that we enjoy today wouldn't exist. Um, Pop music, classical music, jazz music, they were all built on a lot of the foundations of their foundations were built on similar foundations to religious music. Classical music is the most obvious since you have composers like Beethoven or Bach who were very religious people, especially Bach. Um, and they poured their Christianity, their beliefs into every song that they composed, even if it weren't about Christianity. And even with Mozart, who wasn't Christian, he was Gnostic, but he placed a lot of his religious beliefs within his music as well. The Beatles are probably a bit more relevant, at least to the modern day society, since they pretty much redefined what we thought as music with with a very experimental, surrealistic edge to it. But the Beatles were heavily influenced by Hinduism. They went on a trip to India and they were amazed by the culture, amazed by the music, and a lot of Indian philosophy makes its way into Beatles music, especially in the case of George Harrison, who wrote one of the most famous Hindu religious songs, "My Sweet Lord." Elvis is another example of a person who was heavily influenced by religious music, with him drawing heavy influence from Southern gospel and even writing a few Southern gospel songs himself. Basically, atheistic, or rather, a religious people, are people who question whether religion is still relevant. They don't really believe that religion is necessary, and some even believe that it's contradictory to the progress of the human race. However, as you can see by these examples, the human race has learned a lot from religion, and the irreligious people, they bring up a lot of good points. I'll give them that. There's a one of the strongest points is that religion has caused a whole lot of damage in the past, and there have, and that's completely true. There's been a lot of wars, a lot of abuse, a lot of racism caused by religion. But one of the important things to remember is first off that um, people tend to use anything as an excuse to hurt each other. Even if religion weren't existent, a lot of those wars, a lot of those conflicts still wouldn't be unavoidable because people tend to want to do whatever they can to get what they want, and they'll just find another reason to justify their actions aside from religion. And another thing to remember is that a lot of the morals and values that a lot of a-religious people have originated from religions, um, regardless of even if it were a religion that they've heard of before. Um, a lot of religions they taught and they and their teachers believed these things before these people even existed. And finally, the strongest argument I can bring you on religion is that it offers hope in a society full of despair. We're living in some pretty tough times. A lot of people are having difficulty finding hope and finding the strength to live to fight another day. And but studies have shown that people who have a religion, they tend to live a happier and healthier life. They tend to have more hope. They tend to have a stronger ability to get back up on their feet when they're knocked down by life. And this is essentially what religion is. It's belief that your life isn't just a series of coincidences, or you weren't just dealt a bad hand, but that you're being guided by a powerful force, whether it's personal or impersonal, to your ultimate destination. And I believe that religion, um, that will never leave as long as humanity exists. Religion will exist, and um, we will be guided to our eventual eternal destination.